This is NBC Connecticut News at 11.
Well, I can't promise about the future, but I can promise you we're doing everything we can to keep your family safe.
Right now at 11, a public health emergency. State leaders stepping up their response to the coronavirus in Connecticut.
It's scary for us moms.
Plus, schools shutting down, major events canceled. The outbreak is now impacting the entire state. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Heideck.
And I'm Keisha Grant. Here's what we know right now. The governor declared both a public health emergency and civil preparedness emergency. That will help Connecticut increase testing and close more public buildings.
Now, a reminder, so far, only 2 cases of the virus in Connecticut right now. 75 people have been tested. We are still waiting for the results of 19.
We have live team coverage. We want to begin with NBC Connecticut's Matt Austin in Rocky Hill with the very latest on that public health emergency. Matt.
Yeah, Keisha and Mike, the public health commissioner says initially they had just 2 workers here at the state lab who could run about 20 tests each day. After some additional training, there will soon be 9 people here who can run up to 60 tests a day. State leaders say more still needs to be done.
We're here to tell you in a unified way that I'm declaring a public health and civil preparedness emergency.
Today, Governor Ned Lamont, joined by bipartisan legislative leaders, announcing major steps amid growing concerns about the coronavirus.
And we don't do it lightly. Like with the hurricanes, it's in anticipation and preparedness. We do it before the hurricane, just in case.
These actions open a toolbox of sorts, including allowing the governor to temporarily suspend or modify any law to protect the safety and health of people in our state. One hope is it will boost the amount of testing being done as major hospitals and private providers potentially join in.
I think all the public health officials are confident that what that will show us is a lot of additional positive tests. As we've discussed for several days, we are operating under the assumption that we have community spread at this point in Connecticut.
Those results could help in the effort to contain the virus. One prevention measure was advised to scale back large events, which has now impacted high school athletics, parades, and others.
We've been thrilled by the response that we've seen from our municipal partners. Very bold, swift action on events in their towns, in their schools.
State leaders think by potentially limiting the spread of the virus, it will help make sure hospitals have enough room to handle possibly very sick patients. Lamont says he's talked to other governors, including of Washington State, who advised their only regret was not doing more sooner.
I'm not worried about us overreacting. I'm proud of us being prepared. You know, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. And I think you should have some confidence that this is a state that's working together.
Now, the declarations will also provide some help for people whose travel is being impacted by the coronavirus. Now, additionally, the governor has the power to take actions related to school closures and large gatherings. But for now, those decisions are being left to local town leaders. We're live tonight in Rocky Hill. Matt Austin, NBC Connecticut News. Mike and Keisha, back to you.
All right, thank you, Matt. And school districts across the state are doing whatever they can now to try to protect students and staff from this possible outbreak.
In some cases, that means shutting down the school. Wilcoxon Elementary and Stratford and Region 14 schools will both be closed for the rest of the week after a student from each district was exposed to the virus.
NBC Connecticut's Jamie Ratliff continues our team coverage tonight from Woodbury with what parents there are concerned about. Jamie.
Yeah, Mike, Keisha, the Region 14 superintendent says the risk here is very small. Still, for the next 3 days, every school building in the district will get a deep clean, including this one. In addition, all sports activities and field trips have been canceled until further notice, and play rehearsals postponed. Officials stressing that this is not a time to panic. This is just about taking precautions.
I think we're just a little bit alarmed. It's a little bit too close to home.
1,700 students will be out of school for the next 3 days here at Region 14, which serves Woodbury and Bethlehem. And inside, the cleaning in these buildings has already begun. Today, the superintendent says they learned the second person who tested positive for the coronavirus in the state is the grandmother of a student. They say the woman who's in her 60s came into contact with that student on Thursday. The grandmother, who state officials say is from Bethlehem and works at Bridgeport Hospital, is currently at the hospital and may have been exposed to the virus during a trip to Nevada. Today, the superintendent, first selectmen from both towns, and multiple health officials met.
We all came to the conclusion after listening that there was a very, very, very small risk at anything. The recommendation was to thoroughly disinfect the schools.
That cleaning will keep all 4 schools closed for the rest of the week. The superintendent says the student is self-quarantined with family and none are exhibiting any symptoms.
Even if it's the 1/1,000,000%, I would rather take the time, clean the schools, disinfect, but make sure it's done extremely well to put every parent, every person in these 2 towns at ease knowing that we've done everything possible to protect their children.
We respect their decision and we're happy that they're keeping our children safe, but it's scary for us moms and for my son and his friend.
Officials emphasize this is all being done out of an abundance of caution and that there's no need to panic.
Just to remain calm and take the necessary everyday precautions.
Now, officials are not saying what school the student attended here at Region 14 schools, but says that the student will not be returning for 14 days. Now, regarding the 3 days that the school is closed, those will be tacked on to the end of the school year. The superintendent says if they eventually have to take more days in the future, that they'll consider more distance learning. We're live in Woodbury. Jamie Ratliff, NBC Connecticut News.
Jamie, thank you. New tonight, several colleges and universities are making changes because of coronavirus. Yale, Quinnipiac, and Housatonic Community College will all move to online classes after spring break, and SCSU is canceling classes for the next 5 days. You know, as more schools start to close, we keep hearing the concept distance learning, but we've been wondering, what does that really mean? Well, we've learned it's an out-of-the-classroom, at-home experience and can be done through online assignments or with written ones that are sent home. It provides students with lessons and instruction, but not the direct interaction with teachers and classmates.
They're able to influence students, motivate students, inspire students. You lose practically all of that when you're in a distance learning.
Some also fear distance learning could worsen the achievement gap. The Department of Education sent superintendents a broad set of guidelines. Each district must decide the best way to move forward.
And what about coronavirus in public transit? Well, both CT Transit buses and rail cars on Metro North are now being cleaned and disinfected every night. CT Transit says it's also increased the number of hand sanitizing stations for employees to use. And Governor Lamont said today that Metro North's ridership is down about 25% because more people are telecommuting. A frustrating day for some high school students, hundreds of them in fact, athletes when they learned that their winter tournaments are going to be canceled in order to limit the possible spread of coronavirus. Sports reporter Gabrielle Lucevero is here with the CIAC's decision today. Gabby.
Mike, we're talking more than 100 boys and girls basketball games, dozens of hockey games. Swim championships hadn't even started yet, but the CIAC making the unprecedented and unpopular decision to cancel the remaining winter tournament games. They say that with each school district and local health department setting their own coronavirus guidelines, it's just impossible for them to meet each one. And additionally, many championship games take place at neutral sites, and some of those sites had contacted the CIAC saying they'd be unable to host. So ultimately, the CIAC saying they don't take this decision lightly, and they know most people aren't happy with them right now.
We certainly respect and understand that those hurt feelings and those emotions of anger are going to be there. What we need to do is try to keep the perspective of what our opportunities in education-based sports are about. It truly lies in developing those relationships and having those times together that creates a connection to school and community. None of our student athletes have lost that.
And now girls hockey as well, though not sanctioned by the CIAC, has also canceled its remaining games. And as of right now, the CIAC says this does not have an impact on spring schedules. Keisha?
Gabby, thank you. Several St. Patrick's Day parades are now being postponed in Connecticut. Take a look at that growing list of cities and towns. In fact, Hartford made the decision today out of an abundance of caution.
I think the bottom line is that it's a lot easier to be smart and aggressive and early than it is to play catch up on the back end.
In New Haven, the mayor says that this was a tough decision, but the annual parade draws thousands to the city, and that could possibly put people at risk of getting coronavirus.
Almost our whole fire department would be at the event. If one firefighter got sick, that could potentially contaminate our entire fire force.
At this point, it's unclear if or when either city will make up the celebrations.
Now, the outbreak and all the information surrounding it, as you know, continues to frequently change and evolve. But Hartford Healthcare is working around the clock now to try to answer your questions. And tonight, we're getting a look inside their new command center. It's in Newington to see how it works. Healthcare representative will answer your call and then can put you in touch with a nurse or an in-house doctor. There, they'll be able to better answer your questions that you have about travel or the symptoms of the virus, and then what you can do next as well. All you need to do is call the number on your screen, or you can text COVID to 31996. All these numbers are on NBCConnecticut.com. The Attorney General is putting out a warning tonight, too, to watch out for people who try to take advantage of you because you're concerned about coronavirus.
Under our statutes, after the governor has declared an emergency, it is illegal to raise the price on any good sold at retail to any price that is not justified by the usual course of business or normal market factors.
Now, so far, there's been 8 complaints to the State Attorney General's office about prices being raised for things like hand sanitizer and those face masks or even toilet paper. The Department of Consumer Protection says it's seen at least a dozen complaints so far for price concerns, travel issues, and even false advertising.
Our coverage of coronavirus continues in just a few minutes. We're taking a closer look at the first containment zone just over the Connecticut border in New York. And hundreds in California are now able to leave that cruise ship that we've been talking about for days and head into quarantine. And we're going to show you how the virus is leading